In the bustling town of Evershade, there lived an old clockmaker named Master Elian. His shop stood at the end of a cobbled street, where bells chimed all day long. Every clock in his shop ticked in perfect harmony, creating a melody that soothed even the busiest hearts. But Elian's eyes always carried a secret sparkle, as though he knew something no one else did. Across the street lived a girl named Lyra, curious and bright. She loved peering into the shop window, watching the golden gear spin and pendulum swing. One day, she finally gathered the courage to step inside. The air smelled of oil, brass, and cedarwood. Clocks of every shape and size covered the walls. Elian looked up from his workbench and smiled warmly. A visitor," he said. "Do you like clocks?" "I do," Lyra replied. "They feel alive." The old man chuckled softly. "You have a good eye. Perhaps you can see what others cannot." He beckoned her closer. On his bench lay a curious object, a clock unlike any she had ever seen. It had 12 silver hands, each pointing in different directions. Symbols shimmered across its face, glowing faintly. Lyra's eyes widened. "What kind of clock is that?" Elian leaned closer, lowering his voice. "This, child, is a time compass. It does not measure hours, but possibilities." Lyra's heart skipped. Possibilities? Yes. Each hand points to a path a life may take. It does not predict, but it guides. Lyra reached out, but Elian stopped her gently. "It must not be touched unless you are ready to walk a path." That night, Lyra could not sleep. Her mind spun with thoughts of the time compass. What if it could show her a life beyond the ordinary streets of Evershade? She dreamed of adventures, mysteries, and distant lands. The next day, she returned to Elian's shop. "I want to see where it points for me," she insisted. Elian studied her carefully. "Very well. But once a hand moves for you, there is no turning back." Lyra swallowed hard and nodded. The clockmaker wound the time compass with a silver key. The 12 hands quivered. Slowly, one hand gleamed brighter than the rest. It pointed not north, south, east, or west, but upward, toward the sky. "The path of stars," Elian whispered. "Rare and dangerous." Lyra felt a thrill. "I want to follow it." That night, she climbed to the town's highest hill. The time compass rested in her hands, glowing softly. Above, the sky glittered with constellations. Suddenly, a streak of light shot across the heavens. A star fell, no, not a star, but something glowing. It landed deep in the forest beyond the hill. Lyra gasped. "It's calling me." She ran down the slope, heart racing. The forest loomed dark, but the compass lit her path. Owls hooted, branches cracked underfoot, but she pressed on. At last, she reached a small clearing. There, nestled among ferns, lay a crystal shard pulsing with light. She picked it up, warmth flooding her fingers. The compass spun wildly. A voice whispered in her mind, "The keeper of time must rise." Lyra staggered. "What does that mean?" Suddenly, the shadows stirred. Figures emerged, tall, cloaked, with faces hidden. Their eyes glowed faintly silver. One stepped forward. "The shard belongs to us," it said in a hollow voice. "Give it back." Lyra clutched it tighter. "No. It found me." The figures hissed. "Then you have chosen your path." They advanced. Lyra's heart pounded. She raised the shard. And suddenly, time slowed. The figures froze mid-step. Leaves hung suspended in the air. Even the wind stopped. Lyra gasped. She could move while the world stood still. "The keeper of time," she whispered. Trembling, she ran past the frozen figures, clutching the shard. When she reached the forest's edge, time rushed back into motion. The figures were gone. Breathless, she hurried to Elian's shop. He looked up as she burst in, holding the shard. His eyes widened. "So it has chosen you. You knew," she demanded. Elian nodded gravely. "The time compass was not built by me. I merely guard it. It seeks the next keeper when the old one fades." "Keeper of what?" Lyra asked, her voice trembling. "Keeper of time itself," Elian replied. "And now, that is you." Lyra shook her head. "I'm just a girl." Elian smiled sadly. "Every keeper begins that way." Days passed. And Lyra learned under Elian's guidance. The shard, now called the chrono crystal, could bend time in small ways. She could pause it, slow it, even glimpse possible futures. But with power came danger. The silver-eyed figures, called shadows of the forgotten, were hunting her. "Why do they want it?" she asked. "Because," Elian said, "if they seize the crystal, time itself will shatter." Lyra practiced tirelessly. She froze falling cups before they hit the floor. She dodged raindrops in midair. She even glimpsed her mother smiling years into the future. But each use left her weaker. As though time drained her own strength. "You must learn balance," Elian warned. "Or time will consume you." One evening, the compass pulsed brightly. A new hand shifted. "Another path," Elian murmured. "The path of choice." That night, Lyra dreamed of a great clock tower hidden beyond the mountains. Its hands stretched across the sky itself. The dream whispered, "Come to me, keeper." The next morning, Lyra packed food, her notebook, and the compass. "I have to find it," she told Elian. He nodded, eyes proud yet sad. "Your journey begins now." She set out across the fields, heart racing. Along the way, she met a boy named Kale, a traveler with sharp eyes and a quicker smile. He carried a lute on his back and claimed to be searching for a lost song. Lyra hesitated to tell him her secret. But something about him felt trustworthy. Together, they crossed rivers and meadows. Kale played music at night that soothed her restless dreams. One evening, shadows attacked. Lyra froze time, pulling Kale to safety. When it resumed, he stared at her in awe. You're not ordinary." Lyra sighed. "I'll explain." She told him everything, the compass, the shard, the keeper. Kale listened quietly. Then nodded. "Then I'll help you. No song is worth more than keeping time safe." Together, they grew stronger. Kale fought with clever tricks and quick hands. Lyra learned to stretch her powers without collapsing. They became inseparable. Finally, they reached the mountains. Snow capped the peaks. And icy winds howled. The compass glowed brighter with every step. At last, they saw it, a colossal clock tower, its face glowing against the sky. But the shadows were waiting. Dozens surrounded the base. Their silver eyes gleamed hungrily. "The keeper has come," one hissed. "The crystal will be ours." Lyra gripped the shard, heart hammering. "Not while I breathe." The battle began. Kale strummed his lute. And sound waves blasted the shadows back. Lyra froze and slowed time, weaving between them. But they were endless. Exhaustion clawed at her. "I can't hold them," she cried. Kale shouted, "Then go. The tower is calling you." Lyra's chest ached. She didn't want to leave him. But she knew he was right. She dashed for the tower, time bending around her. Inside, gears larger than houses turned slowly. The tower's heart beat like a drum. She climbed higher and higher, the shadows howling behind. At the top stood a throne of gears and light. A great pendulum swung across the horizon. The dream's voice whispered again, "Sit, keeper. Time awaits." Lyra placed the shard into the throne's core. Light blazed, flooding the tower. Time itself shuddered. The shadows screamed, dissolving into nothingness. Outside, the skies cleared. The tower's hands aligned with the stars. And silence fell. Lyra gasped, collapsing into the throne. The compass glowed softly in her lap. A voice filled her heart. "You are keeper now. Protect the flow." She nodded weakly. Below, Kale climbed into the tower, panting. "You did it," he whispered. Lyra smiled faintly. "We did it." Together, they gazed at the horizon. The gears of time turned steadily once more. But Lyra knew her journey was far from over. Being keeper was not a victory. It was a responsibility. She would guard time, guide it, and protect it. Kale would walk beside her, a friend bound by destiny. As dawn broke, the tower bells rang for the first time in centuries. Their sound echoed across valleys and seas. People everywhere paused, sensing something had changed. A new keeper had risen. And with her, a new story began. Lyra and Kale descended the tower hand in hand. The compass pulsed gently, pointing to paths yet unwritten. "Where to now?" Kale asked with a grin. Lyra smiled. "Everywhere. Time is vast." They walked into the sunrise, hearts steady, ready for what lay ahead. Days turned to weeks, weeks into months. Lyra learned to weave time threads, mending broken moments. Kale learned songs that healed wounds of the heart. Together, they brought balance wherever they traveled. But whispers grew of darker forces beyond the seas. Forces even the shadows feared. The compass trembled at night, warning of storms to come. Lyra held it close, reminding herself she was not alone. For though time was heavy, hope was stronger. And with each sunrise, she took another step forward. The Clockmaker's secret had become her destiny. And the Keeper of Time was only beginning her tale. The bells of Evershade still chimed, steady and sure. Elian watched the horizon, whispering a blessing for the girl he once guided. The world turned, seconds ticked. And life went on. But somewhere, gears hidden from mortal eyes turned faster. The storm was coming. And Lyra would be ready. For time itself now trusted her. And she would never let it break. Night after night, under the stars, she dreamed not of fear, but of courage. She dreamed of paths yet unseen. She dreamed of being more than ordinary. Because she was. She was Keeper. She was hope. And her story ticked forward with every heartbeat. The world was vast. And time was endless. But Lyra had chosen her path. And the Clockmaker's secret was no longer hidden. It lived within her. Kale strummed his lute, singing softly as they walked. The melody carried on the wind. It mingled with the ticking of the compass. And together, song and time danced. The night sky stretched above them, endless. A reminder that possibilities were infinite. Lyra smiled at the stars. Her journey had only just begun. And the Keeper of Time walked on.